So overall, you okay with the outline that we got for today?
Yeah, I am pretty much lost to most of what I'm supposed to be talking about.
Oh, good,
I
good,
don't
good,
I don't
good.
I don't think I know most of this.
That's exactly what I want to hear.
So,
So,
how's your fitness?
yeah. My personal fitness is, it's there. It's lacking. I've still been going, like I've still been hitting the gym, during my lunch.
Uh,
But like now that we're actually in the new place and all of that jazz, like I should be hitting our downstairs gym a little bit more often than I do. However, I went down and for the very first time used a Stairmaster.
I've
So
used Stairmaster before. Well,
I put,
I've used the stair machine.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I put on my weight vest and I went and did stairs at a level 8. I don't know exactly what that means, but a level
Uh,
8.
doesn't sound good.
And I did that for a half hour.
Yeah, that sounds dumb.
With a weight vest on, and then went immediately into a 400-meter swim. Yeah.
Gross.
And just so everybody knows, I'm about like a hobbit when it comes to swimming. I well, I'm a little more so. So I can swim for fun quite well. I can jump off of a boat in a lake and have a good
You can
time.
swim to survive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like, I'm gonna swim for fitness, it looks hysterical.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's not
don't
good.
when I swim, my feet just kind of hang. I don't kick
You
my
don't
feet.
pedal, you don't
No,
kick.
I don't kick. It's extra energy. Why
Yeah,
do it? I'm
I feel
not,
that.
yeah. I'm 5'7". I'm not built like a swimmer. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Um, yeah, that sounds awful. Thanks for that workout, by the way.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about some fitness. So that I'm actually
I
gonna
would, but my like messages all deleted for some reason.
Oh, that's weird.
So I don't have the workout in front of me, but you
Well,
might.
so I'm gonna do, because I liked your idea and I'm gonna run with it a little bit different in that when I post. So like the reason why I wrote the dwarf workout, right, is because the next podcast
Hmm.
that I publish is going to be the dwarf one.
Oh,
And so
fitting.
it will be nice to, I actually think this will be a lot of fun, is every time I post or publish one of our podcasts, I'll also post a workout that goes along with it.
Okay.
So post that on the Instagrams, have a video or picture of you or I or Ariel doing said workout. Um, and yeah, I think that'd be fun.
Yeah. I'm not gonna post my video. Mine was disappointing. Melissa did it with me. She did
Yeah,
it. She didn't do it the weight that you guys prescribed because that's way too much for her.
weight
Um,
wise,
yeah, weight wise. And she flies through air
air
squats.
squats.
Yeah. The running, she was like, "Yeah, I'm not running. Like that's not a run." And I sprinted. I did sprints the first 3 rounds.
Yeah,
And I did the two. I did the full weight. I did 225. And it was fine. Like I said, the first 3 rounds, but it's the running after the air squats. That's always the worst.
right.
And it didn't help that uh, Saturday I spent the day essentially doing a longer CrossFit total.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, we decided we're kind of done with the Wendler. I am. I'm just kind of
Right.
over it. And I wanted to test to see how well I did. And actually, here, let me pull up my numbers. Because I actually did really well. I
Oh yeah.
PR'd everything. Everything got a PR.
Okay.
And so is it? Here we go. Shoulder press. 5-pound PR. Meh. Not the greatest.
I mean, that's something.
It's something. It's 145-pound shoulder press. Let's see. My back squat I was stoked with 315. So I broke 300 and then I kept going and I kept adding like couple pounds, and then I ended up maxing out at 315. I probably could have done like maybe another 2.5 pounds,
Yeah.
maybe another 5, but I didn't like it's in the garage. I really didn't feel like I wanted to like bail out and then
And
like,
have it roll into the street.
have it roll. Well, I don't think it would have rolled into the street, but I might have fallen forward and then I'd be like in the wall.
Yeah.
So yeah, 315 on that. And then my deadlift, I could have done more, but we ran out of weights.
Oh, look at you maxing out the weight.
So we need more weights.
All right.
And I was like, well, what the fuck am I gonna do? I was like, oh, I can't do anything with it. So we may
I mean,
get,
that's not a bad problem to have.
it's not a bad problem to have. We may get 25-pound plates, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have two of everything except for the 10-pound. We have 4 of those. But we have 2 2.5, 2 5-pound plates, 215, 225, 235, 245.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think adding another 25-pound plate is cheaper. And it'd probably be a little better.
All right. All right.
And then I did my bench press, which I don't think I wrote down for some reason. And I did, I think, 215, which was another 5-pound PR.
Okay.
Or no, I did 220. I did 215
for your bench press
for my bench press,
dude. That's nope. That's a nope for me.
Yeah. So yeah, that's hard when you don't have really anyone to spot you.
Yeah.
Because Melissa trying to pull 215 off of me.
She's not doing anything for you.
No, she was helping me roll it down because I failed.
Right.
And so she was helping me roll it down my body so that I could sit up so that I could roll it off my legs.
Right.
So yeah, that was my ticket to the Swolhirrim this week.
Nice. I like it. Yeah, for anybody who's listening to this episode, it's gonna be, I mean, this episode is gonna be like 1, 2, 3, 4 away from the dwarf episode that we release. However, Carlos, what was your time on the dwarf workout?
So my time on the dwarf workout was 28 minutes flat.
Nice.
Melissa did hers in 21 minutes.
Nice. I hit it sub 20.
Nice.
Just barely.
Yeah.
1956.
Yeah. Different fitness levels.
Yeah. Well, and like, to be honest, I was kind of forced to.
I'm built more like a dwarf than you are.
So I was a little bit forced to go faster. And what I mean by that is I actually, because I did it in the gym in the apartment building.
Yeah. The
so
gym. The apartment building.
Yeah, in the apartment building. So what I did is I did deadlifts, air squats, and then I turned the treadmill onto like 12. And just like it was either run or die at that point.
Yeah.
And then just as soon as I hit 100 meters, turned it off and rested. That 1 minute rest definitely saved me.
Yeah, that 1 minute rest helps. But then, man, those last fucking 10 seconds hurts. That you get of rest.
I know.
Suck. And then you have to pick it up. Yeah, my lower back is like I
was going to ask you about your back.
Yeah, my entire body is sore. But again, like I did a lot, like even though I maxed out my deadlift at 315 or no 345, like I still was like doing multiple reps. I think I did like 10 rounds.
Right. Well, and like, I mean, 225 is nothing to scoff at when you're doing deadlifts, especially when you're
No.
doing 70 of them.
Yeah, and it's fine the first, like I said, everything was fine the first like 3 rounds. It was
Right.
it was rounds 4, 5, 6, and 7. That was just like, and the run just stopped being a run.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It was a sprint. It was a sprint, run, jog, jog, and then jog walk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a jog to the 50-meter mark, stop, reevaluate my life, walk like 3 steps, and then go just finish it, and then
Yeah.
finish it. So yeah, yeah, it was fucking hard.
Yeah, it was, I mean,
It was a good one though.
It was a good workout.
Yeah, I was like, I came back and I was dripping sweat, and yeah, so it's a good good little workout.
So if any of you missed it on Instagram, the workout is 7 rounds. You're gonna do 10 deadlifts. They should be heavy-ish deadlifts. So the weight on it is 225 for the guys, 155 for the ladies. Now, again, like we're all about scaling here, right?
Yep.
So if 225 is way too heavy, if 155 is way too heavy, drop that weight down. It's supposed to be a heavy-ish weight, but you should be able to do at least 5 without dropping the barbell. So you're going to do 10 deadlifts at that weight. Then you're going to do 40 air squats and then a 100-meter run. And then you're going to rest 1 minute. And then you do that. So you do that 7 times. It's great. I'm really sad that
different definitions of great.
Yeah, I'm really sad that my video isn't working because you also can't see how incredibly basic I've become, and I'm drinking Topo Chico right now.
I don't know what that is.
It's like that mineral, that the Mexican mineral water.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
It's pretty basic.
It's really basic, but like I had it at Ariel's niece's birthday party, and now it's the only thing I want to drink.
I have good old fashioned water in my Takea water bottle that I just bought.
Nice.
Which is nice because it's got the spout inside. So it's like this, it's like the cap and then the spout. So then you're never touching the spout.
Oh, I never even thought about that.
So it's more hygienic than like the spout on my Hydro Flask.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like lifting, and then it's all gunky and it's gross. Anyways,
right.
Coronavirus.
So yeah, so fitness overall is doing good. I'm gonna try to get back into what I personally consider like my competition shape, right? Which doesn't mean I'm going to the games, but means that I could at least compete in like a local CrossFit competition.
Right.
I'm not in that shape right now at all. But I'm trying to get back into it. So that's the goal, is within like by the end of the year to kind of get back into that shape.
It's a good goal to have.
Yeah. What about you? You got anything coming up fitness wise?
No, I haven't decided what we're gonna replace Wendler with. I did my, I sent you those not last weekend, but the weekend before. My Olympic lifts. So.
Oh yeah, and those were looking good.
Yeah, no. So I may do something. I may do like a Wendler version of that. Wendler-esque Olympic lifting.
Nice.
Yeah. Although it'd be 2 things. I need to find something that I can download and then
just some sort of Olympic lifting cycle, basically.
Yeah.
You can pay Ariel.
I could pay Ariel.
She'll do one for you. She likes it.
Ariel gonna charge me?
Well, you gotta discuss that with her. maybe there's a Swolhirrim discount. I don't know.
Maybe there's a Swolhirrim discount.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's it for now. Fitness wise.
So overall, you okay with the The outline that we got for today?
Yeah, I am pretty much lost to most of what I'm supposed to be talking about.
Oh, good,
I
good,
don't
good,
I don't
good.
I don't think I know most of this.
That's exactly what I want to hear.
Um
So yeah,
so
so all right, so let's get into some things, right? So we were we went all the way through Feanor exiting and Fingolfin arriving in Middle Earth, right?
no,
That's
we
where we
didn't.
left off on
No.
the history.
I don't think so.
It is. The
Uh
moon came up. That's where we left off.
is it?
Yeah.
I th-
So
well,
so we need to
okay.
rewind,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So let's go ahead. Let's take a step back. Let's forget about some of Feanor's bullshit and whatnot. And let's go back a little bit more into the Sindar,
Okay.
right? So let's go to Middle Earth, but back in time a little bit. All right. So we kind of talked about this. We talked about how we were going to have to, because there's so much going on, we might have to like go back and talk about a few things.
Right.
And so this is one of those. So we know this was a few episodes ago that Thingol and Melian um, stay behind, right? They stayed in Middle Earth.
Right.
Now we actually don't ever get um a reunion of Thingol and the Sindar elves. Like we never know like how they got reunited. It never tells us. It just simply says that like we're told that that Thingol and Melian create their kingdom, right? With the elves that stay behind. And it's all of the elves of Beleriand hold Thingol as their king,
Right.
right? But like we're never really told. Like I would love to know kind of how that happened. Like a few hundred years after these guys are searching for this guy, he made it so that they didn't get to go be with the gods, and he just comes strolling out of the woods hand in hand with Amaya, like, "Hey guys, I'm married now." Like, like what's going on there?
Yeah,
Um,
or they just happen to like come across him in a trance and they're both standing there and they're just like, the hell?
they just poke him with a stick, like,
Yeah.
"Hey, hey."
This is what you've been doing this entire time.
We've been looking everywhere for you, you asshole.
I was right
Um,
here.
well, apparently you didn't look
Did
everywhere because
did you
here I
look
am.
here? Did you look here? Because here's where I was.
So, we get that though, right? And so we've got everyone. It says we're told from Círdan on the shores all the way to the elves of the Blue Mountains,
Yep.
right? All of these elves are under the rule of Thingol and Melian, right? Um, and like because of Melian, even though there was no sun yet, there was no moon yet, you were still only under stars, all of these elves, right? Um, Again, a few episodes back, we talked about the idea that Yavanna put a sleep on Middle Earth,
Yeah.
right? Because we had the Spring of Arda, right? And then Melkor's shenanigans fucked that up.
Yep.
And so to make sure that not that everything didn't just like die off, Yavanna put a sleep on things. But Melian, being the Maya that she is, and apparently an incredibly powerful Maya, decided to let some of those things wake up and be a part of their land, right? So, like in Beleriand, they had flowers growing and they had trees growing and they had animals and different stuff like that. Um, I don't know. Maybe it was just like a fuck you to Giovanna, or maybe she
Well,
just really wanted it.
things must have been growing when the elves came to be, right? Because
I'm
the elves were asleep and then the elves wake up, right?
right,
And then the elves are there, we don't know how long, with
right.
nothing.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there must have been some sort. Maybe it
So
was just like a
the
slow growth.
it was probably on a timer. Everything was on a timer, and then once the elves wake up, then the timer starts, and then all this other stuff happens.
Yeah, yeah. Well, luckily Melian was around to kind of
Yeah.
help things grow, right? We know Melian from being a Maya that was in, she was in the Guardians of Lorien. Gardens of
That's the
Lorien.
hold on a second. Are those fireworks or is that someone outside? Can't tell. I think it's fireworks.
Some butt face.
Yeah. They went off until I heard them at 1:30 in the morning. Melissa woke up at 4:30 in the morning. She said she heard them still going off.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. So
that's Oakland 4th of July for you.
Anyways, I wish that would go to sleep. I wish some of those people would go to sleep.
So
Current
anyway,
age.
So Melian is, kind of bringing about her own little spring, but in basically just in Beleriand, right? So nowhere else in Middle Earth. It's just kind of in their realm of Beleriand that she's kind of awakening things again.
Yeah.
In this time, we're gonna go back to those dwarves. We talked all about them not too long ago. But in this time is when the dwarves woke up, right? And this is when they came over the Blue Mountains, and they first interacted with elves. Elves, being the pompous assholes that they are, saw the dwarves and were just like, what are these things? We didn't know other things could talk. We're the most best species. We're the only ones. Our name means those with voices. We should be the only ones who can talk, right? Which is really funny because, like, especially in the description, like moving forward, it's actually pretty funny because almost no elf could actually learn Khuzdul, but dwarves could learn Sindarin pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean the elves do seem more like
I shouldn't have to press one for Sindarin.
Yeah, pretty much. The elves just can't be bothered to learn another language. Right? This is Beleriand. In Beleriand, we speak Sindarin.
We speak Sindarin here. Yeah. I'm sorry. None of this Khuzdul.
Maybe Noldor.
Yeah, a little bit later on.
And a little bit later on.
Before it's banished for all time. But that is a spoiler. So we'll hold off on that. So yeah, so the dwarves come over though, right? And like in this time, like dwarves and elves have no beef, right? Except for the fact that elves are assholes and they think they're better than everyone else.
Right.
Other than that, dwarves and elves have no beef. They have no reason to, right? Nothing like has happened to make them have beef.
Right.
And so other than elves being pompous assholes, they get along quite well. And dwarves go out of their way to learn Sindarin so that they can trade and be a part of society with the elves, right? And Thingol was very friendly with, again, if any of these dwarves don't sound familiar to you, go back and listen to our dwarf episode. We go over it because it was one of the 7 times that we did that episode. But so Thingol actually gets along quite well with the dwarves of Bellagos and Nagathron.
The third time was my favorite.
The third time was?
The third time was.
Why was the third time your favorite?
I don't know.
All right. I feel that.
I think it was. I don't remember. Yeah. I forget after 4.
I know. Honestly, I was actually just really upset about the one that the video quality was great and the audio was garbage. That made me really mad.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Sorry, I cut you off.
Oh no, go ahead. No, so Thingol deals a lot with the dwarves of Bellagos and Nagathron, right? So these are different dwarves. They're not the same dwarves that we always, that we are always seeing. They come from some of the different families, right? And they traded, they created things for each other. all of that fun stuff. Now, during this time, ooh, that was a burp. During this time, Melian also, had foresight. And I love the fact that, at first, you've got Thingol listening to Melian quite a bit, right? He listens to her at first. It's like 100 years from now, oh, more than that, a couple thousand years from now, that Melian keeps saying, like, hey, maybe you shouldn't do this. And he's like, nah, whatever. But at first he does listen. So Melian, she comes out and she talks to Thingol, and she's basically like, hey, we're not always going to have peace here. Like, we have peace now, and it's awesome, and we have a safe place for the Sindar to live currently, but we need something. We need a kingdom.
Yeah.
Right. And so Thingol goes out of his way and he says, hey, dwarves, you want to make me a cool place to live? And of course, being dwarves, they really only know one thing to do, and that's delve into a mountainside. Right. But they create Menegroth, which is the 1,000 Caves. This is a kingdom of Thingol and Melian, and it is exactly that. It's a giant dwelling inside of a mountain of 1,000 caves, and they were paid. They were happy to do this because they were paid by knowledge from Melian,
right?
And then also pearls from Círdan. Because Círdan was in the realm of Thingol, he brought them pearls because he knew that was something that, one, dwarves didn't get that often, right? And two, it was something that they would love, right? It's shiny,
the sea and all,
yeah, like it's great, right? They love that stuff. So he brought them pearls, and that was pretty much their payment for it. And it was described as the most beautiful kingdom fortress that ever existed in Middle Earth, right? And a big part of that is because you actually had Melian, who was a Maya, who lived in Valinor, and she oversaw the construction of this place, and basically was like, I want this to look like the trees of Orome, and I want this over here to be like the garden of Lorien, and I want it basically like design the whole thing to look like Valinor,
right?
Which is pretty cool. Like, if you can do it,
Yeah. you have a great interior designer in Melian when your aesthetic and theme is Valinor, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it was a cool time because this was one of the beginning times where dwarves and elves didn't hate each other, and they didn't necessarily have a whole lot of love towards each other, but they worked together, and they worked well together.
Yeah, I don't think they trusted each other.
I'm sure not,
because don't forget that the elves still hunted the dwarves,
right?
Or they were hunting the dwarves for a little bit before they
realized what they were.
Right. Yeah. Before they realized what they were, and they're like, "Oh, you guys talk? Oh, my bad. My bad." Now, but did they hunt them? Well, never mind. That's kind of getting a little morbid.
A little too dark.
A little too dark. Yeah, but the dwarves did come to the elves because they needed help, right?
Right.
Morgoth is out in Valinor,
serving his penance,
doing his time, right?
Right.
And his henchmen, right? His posse that he used to roll with, they're still at the turd house.
Yeah.
Right.
Little buttheads.
They're still hanging out there and making trouble for everybody in the neighborhood. And the dwarves needed help because the orcs and all those things were starting to multiply as orcs do, and they needed help.
As
to get
orcs
rid of
do
him.
indeed.
Yeah.
I am
Uh,
looking forward to that episode.
of
The orc episode
oh
that
yeah,
you and I do.
that's gonna be a good one.
It will be a good one.
And so Thingol needed Thingol needed armorers,
Right.
and elves aren't really the armorer type unless we're talking about the Noldor.
Right. I was gonna say,
Uh,
especially the Sindarin. Was that a firework?
yeah,
Okay.
it's like 6 houses down.
Yeah.
So the dwarves helped get Thingol armed, right?
Right.
And this is before Morgoth ends up coming back to Middle Earth with the Silmarils that he had stolen.
The
And
dick.
before Feanor comes back, right? And then once
The
Feanor gets
dick.
back, then you have the dwarves who are really good smiths, and then you have the Noldor elves who are really, really good smiths.
Mm-hmm.
And they do know when Morgoth gets back, because him and Ungoliant have that little disagreement about who's getting to keep the Silmarils, and Morgoth Morgoth ends up screaming for help, and that's when everybody in Middle Earth who's already there realizes, oh shit, Morgoth's back.
Right. Right. Because
Um,
it's heard all throughout Beleriand, basically, which, I'm sure that was slightly terrifying.
yeah. Oh yeah. The most powerful of all the Vala, the
Screaming
Ainur,
out in pain.
screaming out in pain. Um, and we see how powerful Melian is, because when Ungoliant is driven away by Gothmog and the Balrogs,
Our favorite metal band.
our favorite metal band, we need like a metal you know thing to play right when we
Yeah,
say
just
that.
like a ding, 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 ding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like the Bill and Ted thing.
Yeah, exactly.
um, she doesn't really come into Doriath at all, because Melian set the girdle. We've talked about the girdle a little bit. It's essentially a protective encirclement around Doriath that protects um, uh, the Sindar who are there.
Right. Right.
No one can come in. No one can really do anything. And so then Morgoth gets back, and he does what Morgoth does, right?
Son
Starts
of a
to
bitch.
starts to like really fucking stir shit up. And the orcs who've been multiplying, that the dwarves had been yammering on about, get sent out to fight the elves in the first battle of Beleriand, which was before the Noldor had actually arrived there.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy because I think when we do think about like the battles of Beleriand, the battles of Middle Earth, we usually think about, I mean, we think about the Noldor being a part of those battles for the most part. And honestly, I forget, like I often forget about this one. And I mean,
Yeah,
you were saying beforehand, you did too.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's one of those battles that's like it's definitely glanced over, even though I mean, like there were major losses.
yeah,
Because at the time, you had all these elves just like out doing whatever because yeah, like there was danger, but not that much. And now Melkor's just like completely fucking shit up.
yeah.
Asshole.
As Melkor does. I mean, if he didn't, then there'd be nothing to write about. So then we'd have nothing to talk about.
It's true. It's true.
Uh, uh, oh well. I guess I jumped the gun, because Melian had protected Doriath with just kind of her Maya abilities, and she still
Hmm.
hadn't set up the girdle, I guess, at that point.
Right,
But it
right,
was
right.
after, yeah, it was after the battle of this first battle of Beleriand, uh, that she sets up the girdle of Melian.
Right. And I feel like Tolkien does a good little foreshadowing here where he says that she set it up to keep everyone out, good and bad, unless one had more power than she did, you know.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit more, or a little bit of foreshadowing there.
Yeah.
Um, whew. I think your camera's out of focus.
Is it?
I don't know. It seems like it. There you go. There it
There we
is.
go.
There it is. Yeah. So moving back over the sea to Valinor, we're gonna get closer to where we were last time we left off, right? So now we have Morgoth is now back in Middle Earth, right? We just talked about that. He's fighting with Thingol and all of the Sindar because he's an asshole and that's what he does. And so now let's go ahead and let's go back over to Valinor, right? And where last time we saw the Valar, they were last time in Valinor. Last time we saw the Valar, they were accused by Feanor to be doing nothing, right? To simply be mourning the loss of the tree and not doing anything about it. Now, in reality, again, we're told by the author that the Valar do many things without words, right? And so, this whole time they were heartbroken, but they were doing things, right? Feanor was wrong in his accusations. But one of the things that they mourned the most was the fact, not necessarily that the trees died, right? More the fact that Melkor or Morgoth, however you want to call him, I think we agreed Morgoth from here on out.
Morgoth now.
Yeah. So
Melkor before. Morgoth
right.
now.
Yeah.
Formerly known as Melkor.
We've got we've got Morgoth, who what they're really mourning is the fact that Morgoth was able to turn one of the children of Iluvatar against the Vala. And like that pained them more than anything else. And we hear that was the worst thing that Morgoth did, which we hear a lot, but at that point it was the worst thing that Morgoth did.
There's a lot of things that Morgoth did that were the worst things that Morgoth did.
Yeah. And at that point in history, that was the worst. And so as they're doing this, right, they're mourning and they're crying and it's sad and everybody's sad and it's dark and you've got elves being assholes. And the herald came back, the one that went and talked to the Noldor. And he comes back and he tells Manwë like basically what happened. He tells Manwë like, hey, Feanor's an asshole. I mean, really, like that's basically probably how it went down.
Feanor's still being a dick.
Yeah, he's still being a dick, and he says that there's going to be songs written about him. And so like Manwë like feels this deeply, right? He's like cut to the bone of this. Like they're never going to be able to come back. But he actually does agree with them, saying that there will be songs sung of the doing of elves. In this, Feanor was right. Like he's an idiot. He did all these bad things, but like in this, he was right. And I hope that he's right. Like I have hope for Feanor. And then you got fucking emo Mandos, who chimes in with his emo bullshit again and basically says, evil still exists and Feanor will soon come to my halls.
Yeah.
So like Manwë's trying to look at the bright side of things, like, oh, maybe Feanor will, do great things and it will be awesome and all this stuff. And Mandos is like, nah, like he's going to be dead soon. It's fine.
Yeah. Hold on to that.
Manwë, quick thing there. But that's what Mandos always does.
Yeah.
He just chimes in with his creepy forebodingness.
He's a buzzkill.
He is a buzzkill.
Yeah.
So at this point though, because Manwë is finally like, okay, There's probably no hope for Feanor, but we got to do something about this. We've got elves who are over there and they've got no light. They've got no protection against Morgoth. We've got men who are going to be born soon. Awoken soon. Yeah. And it doesn't mention dwarves because honestly, I don't think they give a fuck about the dwarves. But you know, these exist. And so it's that point again where, you know, something that we've talked about multiple times, that you've got the, you know, whether it's the Maya or the Valar or the elves, and like time just moves slow or differently for them, right?
Yeah.
So they kind of boohooed for a while, and they even thought for a while, and they thought, what can we do to remedy this, right? What is it that we can do? And they took a really long ass time. But they eventually, Manwë, I guess, we'll give him credit where credit's due, because normally he's a fucking idiot. Manwë comes to the thought of asking Yavanna and Nienna to put all of their power into Telperion and Laurelin.
Right.
And like try to make something out of it. Right. So Yavanna, Nienna, they go over to the trees and they dance and they cry and they do magic things, whatever those magic things are, right?
Yeah.
And you get
I just picture them dancing and nothing happening, and then they just start crying and nothing happening, and then someone goes, "You guys are gods. Use your magic." Use your godly powers. And then they go, oh yeah.
You remember you like created these things, right? But they eventually, Telperion blooms one single silver flower, and Laurelin grows one single golden fruit. And what happens with this is a story that we've gone into before. It was one of the very first episodes. I think it was episode 3, maybe episode 2, that I did with Ariel. Uh-huh. And this is where we get the sun and the moon, right? So these two things, Yavanna then goes to her husband and asks for vessels to be created to hold this flower. And
who's her husband?
Aule, the asshole. Aule, the lovable idiot. That's who.
Yeah. He's useful for things.
He is useful for things.
Yeah.
So he makes the vessels that hold the flower and the fruit. Right. And those vessels are the sun and the moon, right? The flower is the moon and the sun is the golden fruit. Right. Now, after he makes these vessels, it is, and we get very little of this in the Silmarillion. We actually get a lot more of this in other books. So like this one right here, the Book of the Lost Tales, right there. That we get some of it in that. We get some of it. This one's a new one that I just got, the Treason of Isengard. It's not in that one, but you know, it is in some of the other ones, right? More so than it is in the Silmarillion. And what we learn is we learn a decent amount about these two Maya, who are, one can say, selected to be the sun and the moon, right?
Volunteer,
right? So
they kind of volunteer. One volunteers because he's in love with the other one. He's a total stalker.
Right. Well, in the one, I mean, if we're talking about like what actually happened, like Arian was basically the only one who could do it. Right. So it was like it was you know, she was the Hulk in Endgame. It's like, I was born for this. Yeah. You know, like that's what she was there. And so we're not going to go too into that. Go and listen to the past podcast about the sun and the moon. But what happens now is we get these vessels, and we get I just lost Maya. There it is. Man, that went away. We get Maya, these two Maya, Arian and Tilion, who carry them through the sky. Now they did all of this again because they were afraid that the elves and men would be in darkness. And one, they didn't want that for the elves because they still love the elves. They still had a lot of love for the elves. And they didn't want it for men because they knew that men were weak ass bitches and would not be able to handle Melkor in the dark.
They also wanted to thwart some of Morgoth's, not powers, but like, you know, his followers essentially, right?
Right.
He has to essentially create like these massive, you know, plumes of smoke
to hide,
to hide the sun, because he's terrified of Arian, right? Remember?
Right.
He tried to also make a move on Arian.
Yeah, he did.
And got burnt.
That didn't go well.
In more ways than one.
Oh,
and so he had to. They couldn't come out in open daylight, right? So then that gives elves and men more of an ability to keep Morgoth and his forces at bay, right? Because they have to do so much more in order to just travel.
Right. It definitely gives elves and men more of a fighting chance.
Yeah. So
and at first,
yes, definitely because men are weak.
Right. And at first, what happened was these were given to Varda, and they were given to Varda to give a path through the sky. Right. We talked a little bit about this again in the Sun and the Moon episode, but it was originally that the sun and the moon would always be up, just like the trees were always waning and waxing in light, but there was always light there. Right. It was going to be the same idea, right? Which really would have fucked Melkor up, but to be completely honest, would have fucked everybody up.
Yeah.
Which is why they didn't do it.
Men are weak ass bitches.
Yeah, weak ass bitches. And so what we get next is we have them, they're assigned their parts, they're getting ready, and as Fingolfin crosses the Helcaraxe where we left him the last time, they blow their trumpets when they first stand in Middle Earth. Do you hear what I'm doing here? When they first stand in Middle Earth, and Tilion, with the flower of Telperion, the moon rises in the sky for the first time.
And it's an omen.
It is an omen, right? They take it that we belong here. This is our world now, and we will protect it with our dying breath, right? And in this time, you had 7 days of just the moon. And 7 days later, the sun rises for the very first time. And that, again, we have another omen, because as the sun rises, Morgoth hid and men awoke. Morgoth, like you said, and I don't think we've gone into this too much, Morgoth at this point, he goes and while he's in Angband, he creates, this is going to be hard for me to say, Thangorodrim?
Yep.
So he recreates Thangorodrim. And in Thangorodrim, basically just think of it as like giant smokestacks that he blows.
3 giant volcanoes.
Yeah, that he's
work as like furnaces.
And just blowing smoke into the air to hide from the sun.
Right.
Because he hated the new lights. He knew who they were. Yeah. And probably what they were made of, honestly. But like, if nothing else, he knew who they were. He knew it was Arian and that it was Tilion, and that there were now Mayas in the sky, essentially fighting on the sides of elves and men.
Yeah.
Neutrally, but fighting nonetheless.
Helping them.
For sure.
Providing them support.
Right.
In a way.
Yeah.
And so he did what anyone would do, right? he, whenever your airspace is being encroached by an unfriendly, force,
Right.
you try to shoot it out of the sky.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
So
That's what I would do.
So he tried to attack. He attacked Tilion, right?
Right.
And Tilion, loses to Tilion.
Right.
But it's enough to worry the Valar,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they go, well, if he's bold enough, to shoot up at the sky
To go
right?
after the moon.
to go after the moon, there's no telling what he could do, right? He
Right.
could come back to Amon and or Valinor, and he could attack us here.
Right.
And so the Valar went into full MAGA mode and they built that wall.
Do you think we'll lose anybody for that comment?
Maybe.
I hope so.
I couldn't resist. I couldn't
I know, I
resist
liked
because
it.
it was just, but they actually did it. Difference being they actually built a giant wall
Right.
around Valinor, right? So
Right.
the mountains that surrounded Valinor, that were already a buffer, right? They just rose them up to new and impossible heights.
Right.
It's these massive walls. Think of like Game of Thrones and the wall.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
But more massive, right?
And non-climbable.
And non-climbable. Smooth as glass. You can't even get on them. And the only thing that they left, kind of as a little like we still care about you kind of thing, was like a gap. I don't even know how to say it. Do you want to say it?
The Calicuria.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Calicuria.
And then they had the Enchanted Isles that they put around where like kind of where Tolkien is.
Right.
And so people would go, it's essentially like the Bermuda Triangle. You'd go in there, you'd kind of lose your way,
lose your mind.
Yeah.
And
if
if
you actually made it to the island, you'd sleep.
Yeah.
So
which is like, I mean, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And there was only one person who ever made it through all that.
Oh.
But spoilers, we're not going to get to that until much later. I
like that you held off on that one. Nice.
I know. Well, I wasn't gonna spoil it.
That was good.
And again, Mandos is right. Mandos is always right.
He's always right. But he doesn't have to be creepy about it.
No, he doesn't have to be creepy about it. Feanor is gonna come back to me, and evil's still out there. So nanny boo boo.
Feanor's over there, being sad about the fact that if he breaks his gems, he'll die, and he'll be the first death in Valinor. And then you got creepy Mandos over there going, not the first.
Spoiler.
That wasn't the spoiler. We talked about that last time.
We talked about that last
time.
We still haven't gotten to the spoiler though.
Nope. That's because I felt like this was already too long.
It was kind of long. I sped through it though because of fireworks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we originally talked about going further into the story, but I'm glad that we stopped here.
It's a good stop.
So, I mean, overall, we are caught up to our last history episode. So we are at the point.
Isn't this a history episode?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is like, so because we had to go back in time, right, to tell this story now. So we're now caught up, and we're on the same timeline now. Right.
This was a flashback.
So
if it was a season, right? What we had before was the season 1. The episode 10.
Right.
This is episode 1 of
season 2. Yeah.
That we just
got through. And it brings us back to that. Yeah.
And then we start episode 2.
We start with some shenanigans.
And It's good.
Episode 2 is gonna go full out
I
shenanigans mode.
like episode 2. Episode 2, season 2.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Check it out. Watch it next time.
Watch it next time.
Yeah, man, I like this one. I mean, all of our history ones, I really enjoy. I love I love our character ones as well, because I feel like
Yeah.
the character ones we get a little bit more in depth and all of the things. But I do believe that the history of Middle Earth, like the way that we're telling it, is one of the things that a lot of people, especially like casual Tolkien fans, don't have a grasp on.
Yeah.
Like of how this history progresses. And granted, we just started the first stage.
Yeah.
But
We're not even to the we're not
But,
even to
you know,
the
we're
loader.
no,
The
no,
loader on Prime.
loader on Prime.
Yeah.
No, not even close. We are thousands of years away from that. But yeah, this next one, season 2, episode 2.
So I have to really quickly, not segue, but
Mhm.
meander onto something else. Stephen Colbert had Dominic Moynihan and Billy Boyd
Oh yeah,
on the show because they have a podcast.
yeah.
And so that they were on the show and they each got to ask him a question to try to stump him.
Mm-hmm.
And was it Billy Boyd? Yeah, Billy Boyd ended up stumping Stephen Colbert.
Really?
Yeah, I forget what the question
I was gonna say, do you know what the question was?
I forget, but one of them was who is Ungoliant's, or no, I spoiled it. Who's Shelob's mother?
Okay, that's easy enough.
And how did she die?
How did Shelob die?
No, how did Ungoliant die?
She devoured herself.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's the right answer. And then the other, I know what it was. It was the tree. It was the Treebeard and the Ents gathered together to have the Ent moot, right?
Right.
What is the name of the place where?
Ooh.
And that's what stumped him.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's in my head, but I don't know.
And as soon as he heard it, he was like, "That's right."
Yeah, yeah.
He's like, he knew.
It's like it's in my head because it is like a prominent thing that they say in the book, but it's not there. It's not there.
And then Peter Jackson asked. He had a video question, and the question was, what was the name of the person who came up with the game of golf, and which family is he related to?
He's a Took.
Well, what's the first part?
Bullroarer Took.
Bullroarer.
Bullroar?
Isn't it Bullroarer Took?
It could be. Yeah.
It's Bullroarer Took. And he's actually both.
Oh, is he? Is he a Took and a Baggins? Oh, a Brandy Buck.
Brandy Buck. Because he married into, I forget who it was.
Gotcha.
That was the little Lord of the Rings trivia that was on the Bear.
That's awesome. I love when he does stuff like that. I honestly wish that he did more of it.
I wish he would do the show.
I know. That would be so great.
He'd never do the show.
No. All right, man.
All right.
Well, yeah. This was a good one. We'll get more. We'll keep going. We're doing a pretty decent job at getting them out. I just need to do a better job at editing and publishing them.
And then meeting me at our designated time.
Shut up. All right, man.
All right. Are you gonna do your outro?
Oh yeah, man. I love that you say this every time because we're about to be done, and then every time you remind me, and then I do it. It's like
because I don't want to do it.
It's like you start the outro. It's great. Yeah, guys. So follow us on Instagram. It's at the _Swolhirrim. You can email us. It's theswolhirrim@gmail.com. Find us on Patreon, the Swolhirrim. And if you are watching this right now, you know that we're on YouTube, the Swolhirrim channel. And then also, if you aren't watching us, if you're listening to this on a podcast, or if you want to, you can hear us pretty much everywhere that podcasts are. So we're on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. It's all the Swolhirrim. Leave us a review. Start commenting a little bit more. We have been getting a few more followers, which is awesome. I love that. I love getting more listens and stuff. But what makes this more fun is if we can have some more interaction. So send us comments and questions and whatever else, even if it's just something like funny that we can read at the beginning of the podcast. Like, I would love to do that, because that
We would
means,
totally read it.
yeah, and it's something that I don't have to write. Like, it's like it would be great. Okay, so leave us a comment. Tell us what you think. We love doing this. We're going to continue to do this whether you guys like it or not. So
Sorry.
yeah, all right, man,
All right.
we'll talk to you later.
Bye.